Right. Hello, hello, my darlings. Back with the Great Big Ugly. And I've done it. I've done my 100 days of the Great Big Ugly as of this week. So all started back the 26th of February, not long after I started my channel. And now up to June 6th takes me to 100 days. And look at this beast of a book. My Great Big Ugly that used to fit ever so neatly on the bookshelf no longer fits on the bookcase. I'm going to have to try to make a permanent home. So we'll do a little flip through here, and perhaps I'll have some inspiration for all of you out there watching. So let's have a start. Now I'm going to have to use two books to sort of keep her propped up so you can actually see from your angle. So there are the 5 signatures. I've got lots of yumminess hanging off the pages. Actually, I want to add more. I really want to add more. So let's have a look. And it all started with this glorious fabric, this black and gold sequined fabric that I found at a D-Stash event, and a really big box of cornflakes, I believe this came from. So you can see the spine is a little bit bowed, but it is holding up. So my Harry Potter wallpaper, and my Great Big Ugly idea book, all born out of the ideas. So let's use some of my more unloved papers and materials just to create ideas. Because before this book, I was making mocked up examples of things with just white copy paper. So in some instances, of course, those are there. So the first idea in here is a folio file folder mini journal, and this is a 7 Plaza make. I think I've done this one on camera. So it's got a little removable signature inside a file folder, and that's just made with a piece of 12 by 12. And genius idea. I think that would be a lovely one to do for craft fairs. Pop that back in. And let's have a look over here. This, of course, we did for the Great Ugly. That was the... Oh, come on. Hold up, please. This we did for making the toilet roll. And that was just my pages from experimenting and what sort of failed and notes to my future self. And then a lovely example of what it looks like when it's embossed. So, hold on, I gotta sneeze. Oh, now, sorry about that. So, masterboard rip-off on the side where I was playing with ink. I've got, come on, this worked before. How am I not standing up? There we go. Give it a bit of persuasion. So that is an A4 piece of paper. So an A4 piece of paper, fold it in to be your flap for your envelope. Give that side a little bit of a rip or an edge, and you've got a tuck behind and a simple flip out. These are quite simple ones as well. That's an A4 size, that's an A3 size. And that is one piece of paper folded with your corners folded in to create those overlapping sort of flaps. So I keep my example in there because it'll go a long time, pardon me, a long time between making one, and I get the paper out and I think, wait, how did I do that again? So this comes out to remind me. So that's the size you get with an A3. My shank button tabs, that was a 7 Plaza idea. Brilliant use of shank buttons, because as you know, the shank buttons aren't easy to embellish onto a page because of how thick they are, and you can't always snap the shank off the back without really making a mess of it. So that was one idea. Lots of room in here to play. A wonky tag holder made out of a single piece of book page that I've just folded up. So fold it up, give it a wonky fold, give it a glue. And let that in there. And let's see. That's just book pages stacked on top to create tucks. And depending on how you glue them and how you attach them, because I've sewn mine and just stuck a button cluster on it. So depending on how you glue these will depend on the depth of the pocket that you have in the back. And remember to fold your book pages over to create a sort of reinforced lip. So that then is another A4 piece of paper. I've got to shimmy now this way. Well, shimmy that way. That is an A4 piece of paper glued on two sides only to this page. So not glued on the other page at all. That's hanging off the edge. So an A4 piece of paper, fold up, fold those triangles under, that triangle under, and you've got a simple multi-pocket. And then when it closes on that side, you've got plenty of room to attach things there. So these were I believe this was Rachel's. I've done this one from her tag clusters. It's in one of the collaboration videos for junk journaling ideas, for sure. So you've got 3 separate tags here that are covered in fabric with little hidden spots on the big one, and held together just with a charm and a bulb pin. So these can be removed from the journal, worked on, reattached together, and slide in as a cluster. And then my little dangles and things have stopped them from sliding out to those little horizontal bands. So that was a good idea. I believe I was watching Shabby Dabby Doodah when I did this one, because she was doing edge decorations, and she thought, no, don't tear your music paper going across. Don't tear it down. Tear it going across and layer it up so you've got more musical notes sort of visible, if that makes sense. So, yes. That one I think I have shown. That's one book page folded into thirds, and you just give the top a little bit of a pull to create a collar and glue it down. That, I think, there is another example of this somewhere in here. That's from an atlas page. And you fold a bit up, fold 2 triangles back. And of course I folded one triangle going this way and the other triangle folded that way. Leftover bits of the page then I've used to create these pockets on the back. But what those folded triangles do is create hidden writing space. So pull your tag out, flip that up, and you've got lots of hidden writing space there. That goes back down, and the same on the other one. When you open it up, pull the tag out, and you've got writing space. There we go. And there's my little scrappy example. Another shank button. And now, wonky fold pocket, I know this one has, but I think of it in my head as a Joey DeFee pocket, because that's the first place I ever encountered it, was on Joey DeFee's channel years ago. And I keep a little printer paper in the back example where I've scribbled on it with 2 different colors of coloring pencil, because when I get a new piece out and I want to do this, I can never remember which side of the paper is more prominent if you're using double-sided paper. So as you can see there, the green is more prominent than the blue. So the green would be one side of the paper, the blue would be the other. And the same on there. The green is a bit more prominent than the yellow. So I keep this tucked in the back there to remind myself. So here we go. My first ever junk mail envelope. So a little wonky. I ended up gluing the entire thing flat into the Great Ugly, so I didn't create any pockets or anything behind it. It's got a little place for a tab in the top. And nearby is this now is the hinge attaching my second ever junk mail envelope. So let's do, that's got the tag on the top. I don't know why I left that detached. I can't remember. And then a pocket on the back. This one down here is made from a book page. Just a simple book page envelope where you fold your corners in, and then just go to town on top of it, embellish it. That's in there to stop that opening. These were done from the Great Big Ugly. Trying to remember who this was. It was somebody in Rachel Bella's collaboration. I think I've written it on here. So I got a little faux pack of envelopes there. My little faux wax sealed letters there. Who was it? Treasured Page. Treasured Page from late March in the 100 Days of Junk Journaling Ideas. And I'd never tried printing on tracing paper before. And the effect is lush. The effect is really, really cool of just printing onto ledger paper to get that sort of faux glassine look. So I've got a few in there tucked away. That was done for the Great Ugly, 100 Days. That one, again, is if you want to work with book pages and you don't want your text to be upside down, you basically take 2 book pages and glue them. Got one here. Take your two book pages, take one of them, flip it upside down, and glue it back to back. So by gluing it back to back, your text then, when you fold up, is going to be the right direction. So you won't have an upside down text. And if you're working with very thin or old book paper, that works really well because it gives you a bit of strength in the paper. So that was just done as a pocket and a tuck. What are these? I've forgotten. Oh, that was an envelope. And it's just a mock-up idea. That's got a little scrappy waterfall, but it also has a little hidden tuck spot on the side. Turn it around, the right way up. So there's a little note in the back, and that's just the edge of the envelope that's been stitched at the top and given a little notch. That then is the other half of the envelope, and that's what you get from the middle. So those were just pieces to pop in here to play with another time. So leave that there. And let's have a look. More blank pages. A fabric flip. Just a plain fabric flip. This, I think I've done for the Great Ugly as well. And it's one of those secret disguised pockets. This one's a little snug. So I'm not going to pull it out all the way. But just to do your double-sided piece, cut it, and then hide a journaling spot inside. Turkish map fold. Really intrigued with this. Now, of course, the way I've attached my example here, once you flip this up to create writing space in a journal, if you were to attach this to the book, you'd have to make sure that whatever was here was flat enough for that to be journaled on, if you want it to be journaled on. But then that would be a nice one to add to a tag that's removable from your journal, because you could take it out, open the fold up, pardon me, write on it on your table, then put it back into your journal. So here we go. Another simple idea, 2 floating triangles. Or not floating, 2 triangles attached at opposite corners to create a sort of float tuck. So just a floating tuck to tuck a piece of paper into. Sometimes simple, again with this one, sometimes simple is the better way to go. Put this in there. Is that going to help? A little bit. No, it's not. Try that again. Sorry. Honestly, this book is like has a life of its own. Now this one, I have it written on here, but I'm almost sure I saw this over at Hither and Yon somewhere in one of her idea books. And this is 4 tucks and 4 journaling cards made from 4 pieces of coordinating 6x6 paper. Great way of using up your 6x6. And if you layer a bunch of these onto a page, it doesn't add very much depth unless you start embellishing on the top, because they're quite flat. But I really like it. It's so simple. You just cut them in half, give them a little notch with your envelope punch, and layer them up. Happy days. That one was done on camera for the Great Ugly, playing with some of my more mixed media materials, with the texture paste, with the Brusho crystals, and setting things in those little resin molds. I need to find some more of those molds, because I've only got a couple to play with, for sure. And just to make it scrappy. And my idea was, if I could take an image that I wanted that suited and really build it up with texture paste and wax and color and fabric and all my mixed media materials to create a nice sort of front panel for a journal, almost, or an embellishment for the cover of a journal. So those are my 2 plays for the Great Ugly. And my beer cans. My beer cans are a Great Ugly 100 Days video. That was quite fun. Really interesting to play. Some successes, some failures, but it was it was quite fun. So let's keep going. And another shank button there. Now this was the idea in a waterfall fashion, but these are just strippies to create almost like a sideways curtain as a page edge. So that could be trimmed off, but you're just creating a sort of hiding space for things behind, but also writing space. So instead of binning that one that I just sat and played with, I thought, no, I'm going to clip it in for future inspiration. So we've got the clipboard hidden paper clip. So it's like a standard hidden paper clip, but slightly different because it acts like a clipboard. So pull it off the page just like you would a normal hidden paper clip. But because of the way it's folded at the top, you've got a clipboard. So I've got a little purple clipboard here that I can then take scraps of paper or scraps of whatever and slide up in the top. They won't fall out, but then that tab at the back allows me to clip it back onto the page. So this is quite a skinny one, but of course these can be made any size. You just have to distribute paper clips along the top. So it's called a clipboard hidden paper clip. This is my template that I can take apart for my brain to understand. If you ever want me to do a video on just making these, just leave me a comment down below. Perhaps I'll have a go. That's a standard, like, little money envelope that opens up. That one I think I've shown a couple of times in the Great Ugly. That's 1 square, 4 circles. So you've got 1 square and 4 circles attached to create that sort of flippy idea for hidden space. And of course I've only glued it on 3 sides to create a pocket. I'll tie that back up later. Let's have a look. Those are what I call, pardon me again, those are what I call the tea bag pockets. And I did them in different sizes, so they can all be filled with lots of yumminess in different directions. A pocket on the top, pocket on the side. You can add a pocket on the back. I've done a few in here, and that's the A4 example. So in half again, notch over here, notch there, and just figure out how you want to embellish it. Add extra pockets, add extra details. It's really simple idea. Really like that one. Now I'm going to rejiggle these books again. Hold on. Come on. Stand up for me. Or at least flatten down a bit. There we go. Am I on camera? Slide. There we go. And that was a wallpaper idea. So I've stuck, there is a video for the wallpaper, making the shaped wallpaper tucks and pockets. That one is, I believe I have shown as well. That's 2 pieces of book page. So you've got that piece folded in half, that piece folded in half and thirds, and attached to itself to create an extra pocket there. And this was the paper scrap folio, I believe. Yes. So you've got all your paper scraps on the back. I added 2 big, this is a great 100 days video. And the little folio sample opens up and you've got all these different paper mixed weights, textures, types, and they can all be flipped back for journaling space behind. So that's in there with its sample. Go. And that's an A4 piece of paper, just hinged on this side by about 1 inch. And then, of course, you've got this flappy that comes out. Very simple idea. That was a 7 Plaza 6x6. So this is, does it say how many? Yes, it was from her holiday bites from 2024. And this whole thing is made from 3 pieces of 6x6. So 3 pieces of 6x6 with some matching washi tape creates 1, 2, 3 pockets on that side and 2 pockets on that side. And it's all about the way you fold them up. So here we go, another shape button. Oops. Alright. Hold on, I'm being called downstairs. Back in a tick. Right, my darlings. There we go. On to this one. Now, this is another 6x6 use up idea. So let me see if I can find my notes first. So there's your paper clip to hold it in. And my notes are, I never remember which way it opens. Is it stuck? Yeah, it's stuck by there a bit. There we go. There's my notes. Hold on. Hither and yon question mark I've written on there. And instructions. Quite complicated instructions. How many pieces? Yes, it's 4 6x6 pieces. So I think it's from one of her junk journal. She does an idea book as well. So 4 pieces of coordinating 6x6 makes the paper clip. It makes all the tags and the whole little folio thing. So I've got a pocket there with a tag that flips open. Another pocket there with a tag. But if you flip that over, that tab then, because it makes the tabs as well out of those 4 pieces, that flips up. And then you've got those tags from the same papers and those 2 pockets. So absolutely genius idea. So put my notes back in. Yeah, put my notes back in there. And slide it back onto the page. Get my fingers to work. No, this whole journey with like YouTube and up-leveling my YouTube skills and things as part of my 100 Days Challenge has been, oh, it's been quite the ride. Right, that was a recent Great Ugly 100 Days idea of just using triangles. And of course, I've put my examples in there in different sizes and configurations and ideas on how to just do that sort of triangle example. And of course, that's my letter size A4. That's my A3 size. And I've got my examples in the back. And more blank space. That is an A4. Sorry, shimmy. An A4 piece of less loved scrapbook paper. So it flops out the other side. It's on that page like that. 2 pockets, folded up. And then that one creates a tuck behind. Sorry, hopefully this is easier to see. She's like moving all over the shop here. So take your A4 piece, fold that up. That creates those two. And I don't know what happened to the spare piece. I must have chopped it off. Right, here is another book page example of where I've glued 2 pieces of book pages that way again to create the text on the right way up. So fold it up, make your flap, but before you glue it, add a mini brad or something to make a closure. I've done that as a side tuck. Let's see. That one, I believe, is a really, really old treasure books idea. Sorry, my voice is going. When I first started out, I used to like these to sew into my signatures. But what I've learned since is, yes, it's a good idea, but not so much if you're using really thick cardstock. Because once you start filling that, of course, the bulk it creates is something else. This would be a nice idea to do as a whole book of them. If you did a whole sort of journal of them. So you've got a big tuck back here, a smaller space there, and then that can be glued down for a tuck in there. So it's just a specific way of folding the 12 by 12. I can't remember what it's called though. Another shank button. This one was an interesting one to create hidden writing space. So I've got a little sleeve here, for lack of a better word, because I've done it quite small, that holds 2 tall, skinny tags. Yes? Happy days. It's just 2 tags in there, and it's a holder for them. But if you undo the closure, you have all of this space for writing, which then can be tidied away, out of sight, and then 2 pretty tags can live in there. So that one can go in there, and that one can go in there. So I know I've done it on a funny scale here, but I think that's an interesting idea to try on a different scale for sure. You just have to make sure that when you opened it up, it was either removable from the journal or there was enough blank page around for it to be functional. That's the word I'm looking for, functional. This one I was calling the cold shoulder pocket. And it's, instead of doing a traditional belly band going down or going across, you've got a belly band shape like that. So you could make that angle sort of more acute, and you could make that center bit very small if you wanted to, so long as it was not too flimsy. But then that gives you lots and lots of room to add embellishments down the side, and lots of room to play with the idea anyway. So pop that one back in there. And go. That was good fun. This is in the 100 Days for the Great Ugly, playing with this curtain tape, that festoon tape, the ruffles. So that was an interesting play, that was. And I've learned a lot from doing that. And in my current journal, I'm still learning, playing with this stuff. It is workable, There are lots of different ways of using it, but of course, direction matters depending on how you want to do it. So I'm glad I did it, and I'm glad I got it in the Great Ugly, because I can look at that page and remember what I learned from the process. That is 1, 2, 3 pockets from a circle. So I just went downstairs and I got a plate to draw around. Take your plate, circle, fold it in half so that you're leaving a little bit of an overlap. Open it back up, give those a snip, fold in, fold that back up, and fold in. So I've left that in there as an example to myself, and I've sewn it along the bottom, so it's quite reinforced for flipping up and down. I'm starting to go wonky again. She's thinking. Come on, you can do it. There we go. So lovely. This one again, I did look. It is a hither and yon. It says hither and yon, number 9, question mark. Because my original note, I've managed to chop in half. And I don't know where the other half has gone. So this was, both of these open. So you got 1, 2, 3 pockets on the top flap. You got a pocket there, a space there for journaling, and a closure. And multiple tags now in each of these pockets. Because I think the one on the inside, there's a couple in there. There's 2 big ones in there. So, but in the 6x6 coordinating papers, all of that one and all of that one is made from 9 sheets of coordinating 6x6. So again, it was hither and yon, idea number 9. And of course, depending on how you glue it. And I think she may have used magnets to keep hers closed. I don't think I had magnets at the time. And of course, I've used my less loved 6x6 paper, not a paper I would normally use, to get the idea into the book. I haven't gone back to revisit this idea yet, but it's in my book for my future self. Here we go. And playing with vellum. Learning some lessons with glue on vellum. So it's on that side as a flip out to hold fussy cuts and things that you can see. And of course I've sewn it through the sewing machine and just hinged it on that side to create a tuck. So as an idea of just a vellum pocket, because you can see what you've got in there to play with. And of course, in a finished journal, you know our journals are never finished. You know, something pretty can be added in there. Or as you collect things for a journal, you can add them in there. That one was another hither and yon, I think. You've got a tuck there. That's 1 A4 piece of paper. So that's 1/3 of it. That's 1/3 of it. And then that pocket and those pockets are the other third of the A3. So you folded it A3. Those are slit on that side to create short little pockets. Those 2 flaps are folded in. And then that flap is folded in this way to create an up tuck. So, interesting idea. And when I was sitting here looking the other day, this idea and the triangles idea, I want to return. I've written myself a little note over here to the side of me. I want to return to this idea and play a little bit more because I've got a few ideas on how those 2 ideas can be combined and worked with. So, watch this space. Right, that was a leftover from Penelope. Just as a reminder to myself of the Victorian photo album books that I've got. And if you look in my tips and tricks playlist, I've got a video up on how I figured out how to take these apart. And I've put myself a note on there. Don't forget about these books. Remember to go slow when you're deconstructing. And I've highlighted it to myself. You've got to go slow. You can't rush it when you're deconstructing the books. Come on. It went in there. Come on. There we go. And I've just put a note to myself in there to remind myself. And that's a piece failed from Penelope. I covered it with the sewing pattern paper. I got stuck in with the wax, but I'd forgotten to ink it first. So it's gone in the Great Ugly as an example to remind myself. This one you've not seen me do, but this was up, was it last week? Let me have a look. I'm sure I've written it on here somewhere. Corey, over at Corey Dahman. Yes, Corey Dahman. It was her video for the Junk Journal Ideas collaboration from the 25th of May of doing like one sheet wonders. So these are the two paper printer examples that I sat here and did while watching her video. And the first one she does is that Joey DeVee Wonky Pocket. She's got a twist on that one she did. And the other two are one-page wonders. So that one is a one-page wonder. So you got a pocket on that side, move, slide, pocket on that side, pocket on the front of that, pull that out, and you've got an envelope inside. And then the leftover piece from that one sheet wonder I've used as that pocket, because that could have been potentially cut up as tags in there. So that one. This is her other one sheet wonder. So a little belly band and scrap piece when I'm there to create a tuck on that side. And then it flips out, and you gotta be kidding me. I've glued it in upside down. Am I on camera? Look, I've glued it upside down. Oh, man. Silly. Right, so it is still a one-page wonder. It's just in the book upside down. Trust me to pick this paper, this like super glossy grass paper that I've inherited from somewhere. So that's the pocket that's supposed to be on the bottom. You got a teeny tuck there as well, and a belly band there. And all of that comes from one piece of A4. So I've got my sort of examples in there that I can pull out if I need to remember. So that was a A4 example as well. Sometimes you get these craft papers in your crafting magazines and things. So I've got a pocket there, writing space, and then it tucks back in to that little decorative fold. And let's keep going. Circles! Lots and lots of circles and half circles. So you've got a circle, half circle the same size with a notch punched out. Now I've put in the Great Ugly, try layering these as a belly band, but I've done that in the Tall Skinny Eglantine that I did on camera. I did a few in there where I've done the circle ideas as sort of layered up as a belly band and places to pop little tiny things. So these are the stuffed envelope pockets, and they are, they're good size, but they're absolutely stuffed with spaces. They're on the back. That's got a space. That's got a space in there, and that mini waterfall. And these have come from, this idea was Steph's over at Hilltop View Journals. Now these two have been put over here out of the way for a moment. I'll come back to her because I did a bigger version of this. So this idea here is, this is a piece of 6x6 that I've sliced diagonally and then wrapped it around the edge of the page to create those corner floats. So that's starting to give way there a bit because that's just copy paper. So that's fine. It's the Great Ugly. Similar to that Atlas one that I showed earlier, this is the pocket, the hidden writing space, but then I've just tapped, that's got the tag, hidden writing space, and another one on the inside, and I've just attached it to the page. And of course this could be just made on its own, something on the back and slid into a pocket. So vellum, playing with your super fussy die cuts, trap your die cuts in between two pieces of vellum. Now what I found is once I tacked the die cuts with a little bit of art onto one piece of vellum, put another piece of vellum on top, sewn through it, but then I've used art then to glue just under the stitching. And it being two pieces of vellum sandwiched together, you can't really see where the glue has gone. So I quite like that idea. Another wallpaper shape. Back to Steph's idea. I used her stuffed envelope idea and scaled it up a bit. So I've got a big tuck behind. This is 100 days of junk journaling idea video as well. And added a closure. I've got a tuck on the front here. Big chunky tags in there. Big chunky tags in the top. And then a lovely long waterfall going there. And a big tuck behind. And if I move up, if I can, I'll try. The bottom of that then has two additional tucks in it. So, and that I used parcel wrapping paper, parcel paper. Hold on, 2 secs. I gotta sneeze again. Right, and so yeah, that was, I'm really happy with that idea, and I really want to do that again. Let's have a look. More empty pages. So I don't know, do I keep filling her up? That's another one of the vellum ideas, the trapped vellum die cuts. And that is an envelope one. So you take 3 envelopes. I don't know if this is going to fit on camera, will it? Yeah. 3 envelopes. That one's upside down. That one's the right way up. That one's sideways. So as that one flips up and that one flips down, it's disguising that sort of sideways envelope in there. So, and I've got, what are my notes? 3 envelopes, 1 up, 1 down, 1 sideways. Back envelopes in 7 Plaza style. I must have seen it on her channel then. So I do like that idea. And I've just put a very plain version then into the Great Ugly for a reminder. Single book page. You've got a nice image on a book page that you want. Just fold it up. So that is the sort of example. Fold an edge to reinforce. Fold that up. Give it a bit of a score on both sides, but then go back and trim that off and trim that off. So you're creating that sort of reinforced fold around your pocket. And yes, it's upside down there, but again, you could just glue 2 book pages together, depending on how thick your paper is. Again, sometimes the simplest ideas, I've got a little banner paper clip on there, and just fold a piece of paper as a triangle flap. Now, if your triangle is scale with your page, it looks like an envelope then. You can make the whole page look like an envelope by getting a triangle to scale on the side of a page. And of course that can be glued or left floating. So this one, again, tabbed pockets. So I've got some scrapbook paper. I've got 1, 2, 3 pockets there, quite deep. But before attaching them and layering them up, I've put some faux tabs on top. And that's just as a decorative idea. And then the very back of the book here, I've got the brown paper bag. So I've got 2 tucks going in this side. So I'm going to pull the first ones out because there's another tuck behind. But if I lift that tab up, you've got a little hidden compartment to store teeny tiny elements and teeny tiny fussy cuts. Fold that back down. What's in the back here? That's just my notes itself on how to do it. Yep. And that goes in the back. And the tag goes in there to keep that shut. So nothing inside there can fall out. But of course you can't put anything super thick in there. So no, that's me. That's the Great Ugly. As it stands now at the end of the 100 days, the Great Big Ugly. And I'm so pleased. I'm so pleased with her. Part of my journey as well was to sort of work on my YouTube skills, you know, videoing, editing, you know, uploading, taking still shots, writing descriptions, you know, managing file storage on my computer, and trying to make it a more efficient process when I'm creating a video. So it's been a big learning curve. It really, really has been a big learning curve. But I think I've definitely learned a lot from the experience, especially doing the Great Ugly and keeping me sort of at it every week. So there's a lot that goes into making videos that I'd never realized before, for sure. So the Great Big Ugly, she needs a home in my craft room somewhere. And if I do continue to add to her, I will definitely pop back on to share. And thank you, everyone out there, all my subscribers, people leaving comments. This has been a whirlwind of a journey, for sure. So thank you ever so much, my darlings, and hope to see you back again soon. Bye for now.